Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today for another video. Today we're going to talk about the best triangle towns for downsizing without sacrificing style. So we're going to look at the area, we'll talk about where these communities are located, what the towns are, what's in close proximity, and then we'll look at what you can get for your money in those areas. I'm going to share my screen and we will get right into it. This is the map of the triangle active adult communities and age-targeted communities. For the purposes of today's video, I'm going to focus just on 55 plus communities. So these are communities that have an age restriction. One residence has to be 55 or older. No one under the age of usually 18 or 19 can live there full time. Age-targeted communities are main level living, or they have main level living, and they really attract an active adult, but anyone can purchase there and live there. So looking at this map, if you're interested in this map and you want to dive deeper into the area and look in a more detailed level, feel free to reach out. It is a link. It's a Google map that I'm always updating with new 55 plus communities or age targeted communities. The pink circles are obviously the communities. And then I plug in the purple are grocery stores. The blue with the white cross are hospitals. Yellow is going to be your museums, things like that. And one of the reasons I set it up this way is so that you can see where the communities are and then what's in close proximity to these communities. So as you can see, most of our communities are really convenient to grocery stores, things that you might need on a daily basis. So the first area, I said best triangle towns, and I'm going to start with Durham. And I'll start with, it's really an area. It's called the Briar Creek area. And I say that this is like the center of the triangle. So it's located right here where you have this cluster of pink. And these are all the 55 plus or age targeted communities. But you can see I always say it's like the center of the triangle because you're convenient to Durham. You're convenient to Raleigh. And then you're only about 25 minutes over to Chapel Hill from this location. As we zoom in, you can see you have access to major roads, the airport. This whole area is between two major parks. So Umstead State Park, which is right here, and then you have Falls Lake, which is right up here. Another very desirable thing about this area is the proximity to shopping. So as I zoom in here, there's a small shopping area here that has a Harris Teeter, but the huge shopping area is located right here. And so this is going to have all your big box stuff, restaurants, nail salons, Target, BJ's Wholesale Club, an international market, tons of stuff over here. And it's all really convenient to the communities in this area. So you have Creekside at Bethpage, which is a resale community. You have Carolina Arbors, Fendel Farms. Those are all resale communities. So there's three. And then you have two new construction communities, Ovation at Sweetbriar, and then you have Falls Village up here on 98. And so one of the reasons that this is such a great area, besides being convenient to downtown Raleigh, downtown Durham, major roads, all that stuff, shopping, everything like that, is just there's a lot of communities here. So there's a lot of opportunities. And these two new construction communities are in the relatively early phases of their community. Ovation at Sweetbriar, like their first residents just moved in not too long ago. They're going to build 600 homes. They'll be there for the next 4 years. Falls Village is probably about 200 homes in. They're going to build up to 1,000. So they'll be there for the next, 4 years or so building. So there's going to be new construction options in the area, for the next several years. And then if you don't like new construction, you can pick from one of these fabulous resale options. So Fendel Farms has 500 homes. Carolina Arbors has 1,300 homes. And then Creekside at Bethpage has around 660 homes. Now, what can you get for your money in this area? So what I did is, and I started with, what is the most common search parameters for a 55 plus community that I get from buyers. And sometimes it varies, but most of the time buyers come to me and they're looking for a 55 plus community. They're looking for one level, a 2-car garage, 2 bedrooms and an office or 3 bedrooms, and about 1,800 to 2,200 square feet, give or take. So Those are the parameters I put in for all the communities we're going to look at today, since that's the most common thing that I hear from buyers, or the most common search parameters that I get. And this will give you a good idea of what you can get for your money in this area. So you can see right now there's 7 homes currently on the market. And the average price point of those homes is $585,000. There's some new construction, so the zeros are new construction. They don't count the days on market for new construction. And then those that have days on market are going to be your resale homes. You can see the square footage. So from about 1,800 square feet, you're looking at 500, 550, 555. And then once you get over 2,000 square feet, you're getting into the 600s. So that's active and currently on the market. I looked at what's sold in the last 6 months. You can see there's 14 homes that have sold and closed in that square footage parameter. The average closed price is about $566,000. And then what's pending was listed at the average list price was $583,000. And one of the things I would tell you too, with regard to active homes on the market, it only lists 7 in that parameter, but in those parameters, and some of them are resale, some of them are new construction, but there's usually more options in the new construction communities. They don't put every single thing available in the MLS. So there's usually going to be more options in the new construction communities. Whereas in resale, it's like if you put those parameters in and they're listed with an agent, that's what's available for sale, right? When we look at sold, average days on market for resale is about 12 days. So if you're looking at a resale home that fits those parameters, they typically sell fast. When we look at what's under contract, it was about 18 days on the market. So resale homes typically have a tendency to sell fast in this area. If they look good and they're priced right, they are selling fast. So that's just something to think about. So that's Durham. All of our 55 plus communities in the Briar Creek area are in Durham. You're very convenient to Raleigh, downtown Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, major roads. And the other reason I really like this, and especially from a price point perspective, is there's so many options in this area with regard to 55 plus. And you'll see as we get into it, this is probably one of the best areas with regard to price as well. So if you're price conscious, this is a great area to look at too. And the reason for that is the new construction communities, the builders are getting pretty aggressive with their incentives and things like that. So they're being aggressive. Resale homes are having to sort of react to that and reduce their price. So in my mind, based on the communities that we're going to look at, or the cities that we're going to look at today, this area, because it has the most options available, is going to be the best as far as price point. So that's the Briar Creek area, 55 plus communities in Durham. The next area we're going to focus on is Cary. When I say, the most common parameters are like the 1,800 to 2,200 square feet and so on and so forth. When I talk to somebody about area, Cary is probably the most common mentioned town that people ask me about. So Cary starts over here. They have a cute little downtown Cary, shops, restaurants, walkable. It's a very nice little area. But over the years, Cary has extended its reach all the way out to outside of the 540 into Chatham County. So most of Cary is in Wake County, and then you get outside of Wake County, you get into Chatham County. And that brings us to probably the most popular 55 plus community in the Triangle, which is Carolina Preserve. That's a Webb community. It's about 1,300 homes. It was built between 2006 and 2012, 2013, around that time frame. And with regard to location, it's very similar to our 55 plus communities that are in Durham. It's convenient to major roads. It's convenient to the airport. So you're probably only about 20 minutes to the airport. You're more convenient to Durham than you are to Raleigh. You're going to be a little bit further away from Raleigh, but you're really convenient to get into Durham. And if you go to Durham, or you go to like South Point, for example, South Point Mall, you don't even have to get on the highway. You take really pretty back roads and things like that. But it's pretty easy to get up into Durham. It's a nice drive over to Chapel Hill. Not as convenient to Raleigh, but you can still get there pretty easily. So 540 to 40 into Raleigh. With regard to shopping, similar to Durham, you're going to have access to a very large outdoor mall that's going to have all your big box stuff. So Target, Harris Teeter, restaurants, shops, Hobby Lobby, movie theater, an improv Raleigh Improv is there as well. So a really nice shopping area, literally just down the street from Carolina Preserve. So Carolina Preserve is here. You hit O'Kelly Chapel, you just go down the hill. It's across 55. Now there's other shopping a little bit closer. There's retail at the corner of Green Level Church and Carpenter Fire Station Road. You have big Publix, and then you have other shops, restaurants, pharmacies, things like that in this area as well. So very convenient with regard to shopping and restaurants and things like that. And then, you're not too far from Durham. Like if you want to go up to, if you're going up to Duke Hospital, there's also another hospital over here in Cary. So in this area as well. So Wake Med is over here as well. So Cary is a very, very popular area. It's probably one of the most commonly asked about towns. Carolina Preserve is probably the community that I get the most inquiries on. So what does the real estate market look like there? Well, because it's more popular, it's more expensive, and there's less opportunities there. So you can look at, I went back 6 months, I expanded the parameters a little bit with regard to square footage, but you can see I went down to 1,700 and up to 2,300 on square footage. You can see the price point is a little bit different than what we saw over here in the Briar Creek area. So Briar Creek was around 566. You pop over to Cary, it jumps up to 605, and it's, homes that are 1-story, 2-car garage, and 1,700 to 2,300 square feet. For the most part, they still sell fast. I mean, you can look at this, it's 36 days on the market, but kind of being driven up by this one that sat on the market for 152 days. For the most part, the homes in this particular community, in this square footage range, 1-story, all of that typically sell pretty fast. So there is nothing on the market right now in this community that meets these requirements. There's just this one that's pending. It's just shy of 2,200 square feet. It was on the market 2 days, listed for 660. So that gives you a little bit of a parameter, the parameters of what the real estate market is in Carolina Preserve. So what I would tell you is, if you are looking in Carolina Preserve and you are looking in that 1,800 to 2,300 square feet or 2,200 square feet, you're going to have to act pretty quickly, because you can see a lot of the stuff sells fast. I mean, one of these it was barely on the market. It sold the first day on the market. One was on 9 days. One was on 7 days. This one on 2 days. So, if this is your community, if this is your focus, you're going to need to be ready to go when the right house comes up. So that's Carolina Preserve. The last area I want to talk about is kind of like the new and up and coming area. And it's not as plugged into like downtown Durham or downtown Raleigh as, Durham here, the Briar Creek area, or as Carolina Preserve is to Durham. It's a little bit further out. So if you're someone who says, hey, I don't care about downtown Durham or downtown Raleigh or going into the downtown areas very often, that's not as important to me, this could be a great area for you. It's very up and coming, and it's developing, and it's going to be similar to Briar Creek in the future, where there's going to be a lot of options for 55 plus in the future. So right now, here's Pittsboro. You have a cute little downtown, adorable. And when I say little, it is little. Pittsboro is a cute little downtown area. And you have Chatham Park is a huge master plan development. It's developing around Pittsboro. And there is a lot of infrastructure development that's going along with that. So I know a lot of times when people say, I tell people about that development and how, it's going to be a lot of homes, like 20,000 homes. Oh, there's going to be a lot of traffic. They're working on putting in the infrastructure as well to really, manage that traffic. So right now, the 55 plus that's available is Encore Chatham Park. It's being built by David Weekley. It's a smaller 55 plus community, so it's going to be around 300 homes or so. It's a beautiful community. They have a beautiful clubhouse, and it's what's building right now. And so if you're in the market today, this is what's available in Pittsboro. Going forward in the future, there's going to be a huge Del Webb. It'll be a part of Chatham Park. It's going to be south of Pittsboro. It's going to be down here by this Moncure Pittsboro Road. And they're saying it's going to be 2,400 homes. So that will be the biggest Del Webb community in our area. They're going to open in, they say, first quarter January 2027. So if your time frame is a little bit further out, there's going to be some options here in the future for more options in the future for 55 plus. The other developer that's going to be building some 55 plus is Disney. So we have Disney developing. They're going to develop around. Their entrance is actually going. Their main entrance is actually going to be down the street from Encore. So if you follow Grant Road, this is going to be around where the entrance to their Disney community is going to be. And they're going to have a lot of different neighborhoods. So it's not all 55 plus. It's not all not 55 plus. So there's not a lot of details just yet, but there will be sections of this community that are 55 plus, and it's going to be in Chatham Park in the Pittsboro area. And they are going to open for sale in 2027. So we'll probably have more information as we get further into the year. But this is a great option. You know, Pittsboro has a cute little downtown area. You're convenient to Jordan Lake. You know, you're not too far. I'd say maybe 20 minutes or so into Chapel Hill on 15501. You know, Chatham Park is developing, you know, they're going to build like smaller, you know, I would say city centers. Right now you have the Mosaic, which is right up here by Encore at Chatham Park. And this is going to have, you know, your shopping, your Lowe's Foods. It has, you know, restaurants, things like that. They also have an event lawn where they'll do like yoga on the lawn or movies on the lawn or music on the lawn. So if you're going to live in Chatham Park, what I tell people typically is, you know, obviously you're going to be plugged into the little downtown lifestyle because Pittsboro has a ton of stuff going on. They have all kinds of activities. You know, then if you live in Chatham Park is going to have its own stuff. And then if you live in Encore or Del Webb, those communities, they're going to have their own stuff going on. So you're going to have, it's going to be more community focused as opposed to like, hey, I'm going to plug into downtown Durham. I'm going to plug into downtown Raleigh in addition to what I have going on in the community. So it's going to be more community focused in Chatham Park, you know, versus some of the other areas we looked at. So that's the area. And then when we look at homes, there's not a lot, obviously, because Encore at Chatham Park is the only one. But when I go back 6 months, you can see everything that has sold. It's all new construction, and the average price point $617,000. And you can see it's 1,800, you know, up to, you know, I did up to 2,200 square feet. But this is brand new construction. David Weekley is an amazing builder. They build a beautiful and very quality home. I've sold a lot of them. They have great floor plans in this community. And I looked at detached homes, but they do have some attached villas as well. So if you're like, hey, I'm not going to be here full time. I want something that's more of a lock and leave. I don't want to have to worry about, you know, the exterior as much. I want something more low maintenance. They have some villas as well in there. But yeah, your average price point of what has sold and closed in the last 6 months, 617. They have one under contract, 1,837 square feet. It was listed for 545. But that's what they have going on. And they still have, you know, they have a future phases that they're going to be releasing. So they have more options here, you know, this year, you know, to build in their community. And then obviously going into 2027, you'll have options, you know, possibly with Del Webb, and then we'll get more details on what's going on with Disney as things progress. So, you know, I think the question is how do you decide? I mean, one of the things is you want to look at the area. What's most important to me in the area that I live in? Is it important to be close to downtown Durham or downtown Raleigh? Or would I prefer to have more of that small town feel? You know, would Pittsboro be better for me? So it's looking at the area, and then it's looking at the community and really, you know, getting a good understanding of what goes on in that community. I always like to talk to people about the size of the community because sometimes that's important as well. You know, the larger the community, the more people, you're going to have more clubs. So there's over 100 clubs in Carolina Arbors, for example. There's not going to be as many in some of the middle or smaller communities, but there's still going to be active communities. So I would say, you know, one is the area. Two, does the community work for you? Do you like the amenities? Do they have things that you would use? Do they have the kind of clubs you like? You know, that kind of thing. And I can always connect people that I work with other people in the neighborhoods because I've sold in all of these neighborhoods. So I have clients who live in all of these neighborhoods, and I connect people all the time so they can learn more about what it's like living in the community. So that's, I think, the second piece. And then the third piece is, finding the right home. And like I mentioned, most people, I would say probably 60 to 70% of the people I work with are looking for exactly what I told you. 1-story, 2-car garage, 1,800 to 2,200 square feet, 2 beds and an office, 3 bedrooms. So that's available in all of these communities. So really it's just, you always want to start with the area. Then do you like the community? The last piece really is finding the house, and you can find, a house in pretty much, they all build that 1,800 to 2,200 square feet, 2 bedrooms and an office type setup. So you can find that in any of the communities in the triangle. So that the good news is, really across the triangle, regardless, there's a lot of great options with 55 plus. There's more new construction communities available. There's more resale communities. Like, we were just really focused on, like, hey, where you can you get a great home without sacrificing style. And those are the 3 areas I focused on today, but there's other areas that might work better for some folks. So that's really the most important thing for today. And if you're starting your journey and you're trying to figure out and narrow down, where do I want to be, and I, need to start downsizing and things like that, don't hesitate to reach out. And then hopefully you'll stay tuned for videos in the future, and I will see you on the next one. And be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Welcome to Raleigh. There's more information like this. I never want to forget to mention that. But there's more information like this, community tours, city tours, information on the real estate market. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.